Hello fellow coffee botherers. In this video I'm going to be talking about espresso gadgets, tools and upgrades. So you've just bought or are about to buy an espresso machine and you're probably discovering lots of different tools, gadgets, mods and so on and wondering which of them you really need. So in this video I'm going to go through all of the common ones and just tell you very simply whether you need it or not and why. I'm going to start out with the most obvious stuff and then work my way towards the slightly more niche and obscure. Starting out with coffee grinder. Do you need one? Yes, absolutely. Why? This might seem like an obvious one to many, but some people start out with an espresso machine without a grinder and buy pre-ground. The reason I'd highly recommend pairing your machine with a grinder is that if you don't, you'll have to use pressurised baskets, which results in under-extracted espresso that is made to look the part by being forced through a small hole under pressure to mimic the crema you get as a side effect of great extraction. Also, coffee starts to go stale as soon as it's ground. So not only are you drinking under-extracted espresso, you're drinking stale under-extracted espresso. So a grinder is a must. See this video on coffeeblog.co.uk/grinders. Tamper, do you need one? Yes, absolutely. Why? I know another obvious one, but if you're starting out with an entry-level espresso machine that comes with a plastic scoop that doubles as a tamper, you'll definitely need a proper tamper. The reason is simply that a level and consistent tamp is crucial, and that's very difficult to do with a plastic scoop thing. Brew scales, do you need one? Yes, absolutely. Why? Because without brew scales you'll have very little clue of what is happening when your espresso doesn't taste right. Brew scales are an absolute must for espresso. Milk jug or pitcher, do you need one? Yes, if you're going to be making milkies. Why? We call them jugs in the UK. Here, a pitcher is what you take with a camera. In America, jugs are but obviously if you're making milkies, cappuccino, latte, flat white, etc., then you'll need a jug or pitcher to froth your milk in. Don't be like James Bond in Live and Let Die trying to steam your milk in a cup, that's just weird.
Is that all it does?
There's masses of choice and I will do a video on this because I do have a thing for jugs. But in the meantime, if you're looking for the best bang for buck, look at the Rhino Classic, Rhino Pro or Rhino Stealth. Coffeehit.co.uk do them and shopcoffee.co.uk as well. I'll put links in the description. Milk thermometer, do you need one? Again, yes, if you're going to be making milkies. Why? Simply to train you to be able to tell what temperature you're steaming your milk to. Once you've been doing this for a while, you probably won't need it, but when you're starting out, it's a very good idea to know what temperature you're taking your milk to. Knockbox, do you need one? Probably. Why? I say probably because you don't really need one as such. You could just knock one out into any container. Kev! But having a proper knockbox, which is just a container with a rubber bar running through it, is far more convenient. Tamping mat, do you need one? Probably. Why? To save the kitchen worktop from ending up with marks all over it. You can use a hockey puck, by the way, and you can get these for a couple of quid. Basically, you just want something to be able to lean the portafilter on instead of the kitchen worktop to tamp. WDT Tool, do you need one? Probably. Why? The vice distribution technique reduces the chance of channeling, mainly by breaking up clumps. It also helps to evenly distribute the coffee in the basket. But as far as I'm concerned, the only reason it's more effective than other methods, such as tapping, is it does a better job of breaking up clumps. So if your grinder produces clumps, and most entry-level grinders will, WDT will probably be the most effective method to avoid channeling. And it's fun to do. Leveler, do you need one? Maybe. Why? Levelers are distribution tools and they're just one of several different distribution methods. The reason they say that you might need one is that while I personally think WDT is more effective than using a leveler, I think that some people will see a slight benefit in consistency from using a leveler after WDT. More seasoned home baristas with very well honed puck prep skills might not, but someone who's very new to it might find that adding the leveler step might slightly improve consistency. And I quite like using them, I find it quite satisfying. Dosing ring, do you need one? Probably. Why? They reduce mess and you'll definitely need one if you're using a WDT tool. Bottomless portafilters, do you need one? Probably not yet. Why? Bottomless portafilters are a great training tool as they give you visual clues as to what's going on with the extraction. If you've just bought your espresso machine or are about to, I'd hold off on the bottomless portafilter for now. The initial learning curve is frustrating enough without doing shots naked. I mean without throwing naked portafilters into the mix. Using a bottomless portafilter is a great thing to do when you get to the point that it makes sense to up your game slightly, because you'll see things in the shot that you probably won't taste in the shot. My advice though is to think about that a bit further down the road when you've developed some home barista skill, otherwise it could just add needless frustration to your learning curve. Upgraded basket, do you need one? Probably not yet. Why? This does depend on the machine you're starting out with, but for most people I'd say leave switching the basket until a bit further down the road, as with the bottomless portafilter. Upgrading the basket would usually involve switching from the stock basket that comes with your machine to a competition basket such as VST or IMS. These don't necessarily give you better espresso, just different, and you'll probably end up needing to grind finer, and it may mean that you'll struggle a bit more depending on the grinder you're starting out with. So I'd just say use your standard basket while you're developing your home barista skills. Upgraded shower screen, do you need one? Probably not yet. Why? As with the upgraded basket, you can very easily upgrade the shower screen with many espresso machines, but I think the majority of new home baristas with most setups would probably be best sticking to the stock screen. The difference in the shot is usually going to be very subtle from one screen to another. The only real benefit I can see in going for something like the IMS Nanotech shower screen, for example, is it might last longer and be easier to clean. There's no harm in changing your shower screen, I just don't think you'll find it makes much of a difference when you're just getting started. Puck screen, do you need one? Maybe. Why? If you're using a Gaggia Classic or one of the Sage or Breville machines, I'd say probably not, maybe try it further down the line. It's not going to make much difference, if any, to the taste of your espresso with most espresso machines. But if you're using a much cheaper espresso machine, including the likes of the Swan Retro, Grand Gaggia or the Dedica with standard baskets, using a puck screen may help to prevent the damage to the puck that the water pressure that much cheaper machines sometimes deliver. If you ever find that your puck has a divot in it, then a puck screen might help. Pressure mod with the Gaggia Classic, do you need it? Probably, if you're using the Gaggia Classic, of course. Why? In theory, the 9-bar OPV mod is a small thing. All we're doing is changing the pressure limit in the basket from about 13.5 bars to 9 bars. We should be able to manage this with the grind size. In practice though, it really does tend to make things a lot easier, and most people who install the mod rave about how much difference it makes to the results. And it's very cheap and very simple to do. I did it, so it must be. You can get the mod from Shades of Coffee, and I'll put the link in the description. PID or PID for the Rancilio Silvia and Gaggia Classic. Do you need it? Possibly. Why? The Gaggia Classic and the Rancilio Silvia require temperature surfing as part of the workflow for consistent shots. If you don't get that right, you can end up with poor shot consistency. Temperature surfing is where we ride the temperature waves of espresso machines, basically. Some machines don't have PID, so it takes a routine known as temperature surfing to take the wave or pull the shot at the perfect time or temperature. It takes a bit of trial and error, but at least the only risk here is poor espresso. You don't have to worry about wiping out or getting bitten by a shark. I'm a surfer, by the way, a terrible one, but a surfer nonetheless, and that's how I got this, surfing at Saunton Sands in Devon. It wasn't a shark that bit me, it wasn't a jellyfish bite or a vicious razor clam attack. Comment below with your guess as how I did it. Anyway, fitting a PID, a temperature feedback loop, or getting a PID fitted or buying one with a PID already fitted takes that extra bit of frustration out of the equation. The only issue with it really is that when you look at the total cost of these machines after the PID, it takes you into the territory of espresso machines that already have a PID or that don't suffer with temperature instability. RDT Spritzer Bottle. Do you need it? No. Why? If you haven't heard of RDT yet, it's the Ross droplet technique, and it just means wetting your beans before putting them into your grinder. The trendy way to do this now is with a little spray bottle, and I'd personally recommend against it, simply because it tends to lead people to introduce too much moisture into the grinder, which can cause problems. I'd highly recommend either putting up with static or using the spoon handle technique. A couple of other things to mention are brushes and cloths. A stiff bristled group head cleaning brush is a good thing to have to give your group a scrub. A soft brush for keeping grounds off the rim of the portafilter is worth having, and you'll want a barista cloth for keeping your portafilter clean and dry, and cloths for your steam wand, of course. And that's it. I hope you find this helpful, and if there's anything I've missed, please let me know in the comments. During the filming of Rocky IV, Sylvester Stallone told Dolph Lundgren to actually punch him so it looked realistic. He did, and he ended up in intensive care with a bruised sack.
Kev,
pericardial sac, which has nothing to do with clicking the like button, but click the like button. If you see 3 of them, hit the one in the middle. Thank you very much for watching, and if you love coffee and enjoyed this video, we've got tons of content about how to make better coffee at home to take you from beginner to home barista, and we've got reviews and how-tos on the most popular machines. If you like the sound of that, click on my face to subscribe. Tatty Bye!